Okay, so here's a quick rundown of the setup here to use the H1n Pro as a camera or as an audio interface for your phone if you're using it for Zoom calls. So I have my phone, the camera adapter that's plugged in to a power source, and then that's plugged to the H1n Pro with a USB. I believe this is a USB mini or micro, whatever it is. It's not sold with the H1n Pro. You do have to buy that separately. You also got to make sure you have batteries for this to make sure this can run. You can run this bus powered, but in order to use it as an audio interface, you need to make sure you have the batteries there. And then I also have just headphones, so I can monitor everything. I'd recommend getting a set of headphones with a very long cable. That way you don't have to worry about the cable length once you're all set up and recording. Okay, so to use this, let's see here. Let's just power this on. And then first you have to make sure it's all connected, then power it on. And then once it's powered on and connected, you'll get the options here. So select audio interface. I'm using it for my phone, so iOS. It'll tell you to disconnect it. So you have to disconnect it and then plug it back in. Disconnected it, select it as iOS. And then there we go, and then we just connect it again. Okay, cool. So the reason you need to have it plugged in first before powering it on is so it gives you that option to select it as an iOS interface. Otherwise, it won't give you that option, and then it prompts you to disconnect it and then select it, which is a little weird, but whatever. Okay, so here we are. We're all set up. This is set as an audio interface, so the microphone will capture all the audio going into the phone, and then the audio coming out of the phone is going to come out through this headphone. So if I'm using this for a Zoom call for lessons, I'll be able to hear everything that's coming out. I'll be able to hear the student, and the student will be able to hear everything I'm doing from this input from these microphones. So let's see what this all sounds like in testing. Okay, here we go. We're testing the onboard mics on the iPhone to see what that sounds like switching back and forth between playing and speaking. So here we go. Here we go. Onboard mic on the iPhone. So let's see how that handles being able to switch between playing and speaking. Again, I am not using the H1n right now. The only thing capturing audio is the onboard mics on the iPhone. So would this sound good, switching back and forth between playing and speaking? I don't know. We'll see when we check the footage. That was the audio coming directly from the iPhone. Okay, first test is manual gain set to level 3. Here we go. Set to level 3. Now, is this level able to pick up my voice if I was going to have a Zoom call? Testing, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. How's the audio? And let's see what it sounds if I switch from talking back to playing. Manual set to gain level 3. Okay, here is testing auto gain with limiter off. We're going to test speaking to plain, and then switching back to speaking just to see a little bit back and forth just to see how fast the auto gain level is able to adjust if this was a Zoom call. A little bit of a sloppy fill there, sorry about that. But let's see how the auto level gain, or let's see how the gain level adjusts on auto while we're speaking. Again, if this was a Zoom call and I was in a lesson, we'd be switching between playing and talking. Does this switch fast enough in a way that makes sense without sounding too abrasive? Okay, let's switch back to playing again for a second. So how does that sound? How's the switch? We'll see. Okay, yeah, so testing auto level and limiter. Sometimes I've noticed, I think, with both limiter and auto level on, is that there's a lot more peaks and valleys, or a lot more adjusting of gain as I'm playing, which is a little annoying, but again, this is mostly to see how it'll function in a Zoom call. If I was recording like a cover or just recording something playing, the best sound would come from setting the gain manually and having the limiter off. But again, if this is going to be during a Zoom call, it'd probably be best to have both of these on, even if it is, even if it does mess a bit with the audio. So we'll see. Again, while I'm speaking and while the levels are adjusting, is it adjusting too much? Does it adjust fast enough? Is it making too many overcorrections? Too much of an undercorrection? I don't know until I check the footage, but I'm trying to see how my voice sounds as I'm talking. If this was a Zoom call or a Zoom lesson, how would it go? How would it feel if I was the student hearing the lesson changing back and forth from playing to speaking, playing to speaking, playing to speaking? How does it sound? Does it sound good enough? Does it sound awful? Does it sound better than a regular iPhone would sound? I hope so. Let's see here. Let's go back again. We'll see once check the footage. All right, awesome.